Paul Hamilton joining us on the Wester Hotline as we start to turn the page. We won't do that fully just yet, not the start here. Jeremy and Joe on WGR and talking to Paul about Team USA's win over Team Canada in the gold medal game. And then a Sabres game in 2 days, Paul. They're going to play New Jersey on Wednesday. We will all welcome the Sabres back with open arms and get to some a serious stretch of hockey for them. 5 games pre-deadline and, of course, trying to make the playoffs. Good morning, Mr. Hamilton.
Good morning. Plus, you can make trades again.
All
yes.
right. I anticipate 10 of them today.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
I thought we might get 10 of them at midnight.
Paul, just to throw out an idea here. Why don't you call Colorado and buy low on McKinnon? Let's just let's call it what it is. He didn't look too good in that overtime or in the third period. I think you make a call. Paul,
about Makar?
Yeah, Makar, sure, him too. And Celebrini, he can't finish.
Get them both.
Get them all. Paul, let's talk about the significance of what yesterday was. There's, the weeds of it, the format, but just the moment for you, what it was like to see the U.S. and to see Jack Hughes hit that golden goal.
Well, I knew this was going to happen. Lindy Ruff's had practice at 10:30. So we're just a few minutes into the third, and I got to get in the car and go. And we get there, and of course nobody's on the ice. Because they're over at Harbor Center because of the trucks and all that. And then finally the coaches get on the ice somewhat late. And then the goalies are with them because the goalies are already out there first. But only 2 of the 3 goalies came over. But they didn't get started. They actually had put a TV in between the 2 benches. And then in Harbor Center, you can also have a bunch of TVs on the outside there. And they decided that the TV behind the net, looking through the glass, was better. So then the coaches and the 2 goalies are standing there watching the overtime, over there. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of fans were over there too because there was a tournament. And all of a sudden, the puck goes in, and I knew somebody had scored on Team USA because of the cheer throughout the arena, and so I didn't know who. I had to wait until I could, see it on Twitter, and then I figured it out and saw it. So I was watching other people watch it.
Yeah. You also would maybe had the experience of watching some Canadians and some Americans watching that game at the same time, right?
Any of the players, right?
Well, they were all still in the locker room.
Well, Lindy, then, I guess, right?
They were ready because they came over pretty quick after the goal,
right?
And got practice started about 35, 40 minutes late.
Yeah.
So they were all over there watching in the locker room together. And as Alex Tuck said, he goes, "We were a little outnumbered in the locker room there." Yep. So he said, "But we got the last laugh," type of a thing. So they, I think, all enjoyed watching the game together over there. But I thought to myself, all right, we're having practice at 10:30. Really? Are we really having practice at 10:30, or do I get to go over there with the rest of the media and sit in a cold arena and look at nothing until this game is over? And that's what it wound up.
And Paul, I saw Lindy speaking about Tage and Alex Tuck speaking about Tage as well. I wonder, there's your national allegiance, and then, if you're Canadian rooting for Team Canada, but you're friends with Tage or he plays for you, I'd imagine you can very quickly get to a spot where you're happy for the person in your life that has achieved the gold medal status.
Yeah, and I was educated. I had said to Lindy, I said, "Well, you sat there and watched the goal," and I said, "Were you a little cranky for practice then afterwards?" And he talked, and then afterwards he goes, "Paul," I go, "What?" He goes, "I'm American now." When did that happen? Like, he said it to me like I should have known that, and I'm looking around at other media. None of the other media knew that. And I go, and I'm thinking, I said to him, I go, "No, didn't know that. When did that happen?" And he didn't tell me. But so yeah, he apparently at some point became an American citizen.
So before you got in the car to get to Sabres practice, watch all that, you saw a good chunk of the game, right? Yep. Like Boldy's goal, Hellebuyck with all the highlights, going back and seeing the golden goal live. Mm-hmm. What's your big takeaway? Is there one? I mean, I don't think there are that many Americans that would deny that Canada was looking like the stronger team, but goalies are part of a team, Paul, right? Like Hellebuyck was supposed to be a big advantage for Team USA, and he was.
Well, overall, yeah, Canada, I thought, was the much better team in the game. Even, you could see that going into the second period and into the third. They plain and simply got goalied. And Hellebuyck was every bit the Hart Trophy winner that he's been. He was just phenomenal, the saves he made. You mentioned McKinnon, though. McKinnon, the chance he got in the third period, because I did tape the rest of the game. I watched it later, that I was missing. And, boy, he was right on the edge of the crease, got the puck. He's not missing a net on that very often, and he did. He hit the side of the net. And he had a wide open net over there, and I thought, wow, okay, you got to have a little luck along the way, too. And they certainly did. Celebrini had two great chances in front of the net. He missed the net both times. But Hellebuyck, not only the save that we all are raving about, where he put the stick back on Taves and somehow made a Dominic Hasek save there. He also stopped the top two scorers in the tournament, Connor McDavid and Celebrini, on breakaways, clear-cut breakaways. And he stopped them both. And gave them nothing. It wasn't like they almost scored, or they just almost like gave up on the breakaway. It's like, all right, there's nothing there. I'll shoot, and maybe the puck will dribble through or something. He took everything away from them on those two breakaways, and neither one of them even came close to scoring on that. So, they blew some good chances too, but he made just phenomenal saves, and basically stole them a gold medal. But some people were comparing it to what Dominic Hasek did when he won the Czech Republic at the time. That's what it was called back then, the gold medal, when he stood on his head.
Yeah, I wonder what his legacy, what happens yesterday, Paul, because he has been statistically one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie, for a decade. He's got the individual hardware, but he hadn't had any team accomplishment. I mean, obviously he hasn't gone very far in the playoffs. He hadn't had a chance to play at the Olympics, and 6 goals total, 2 to Sweden and Canada. Like that was kind of the thing, I guess, that his resume was missing. He just hadn't had anything, major in terms of a team accomplishment. And when he's the reason, or one of the biggest reasons they win, I think yesterday does a lot for how people will look back on his career.
Well, the Four Nations, I thought he played very well. He was 2-1, but you look at his numbers; they were fantastic. He had a 1.59 goals against and a save percentage of .932. Here at the Olympics, he's 5-0 with a 1.18 goals against and a .956 save percentage. But in 58 Stanley Cup playoff games, he's 24-34 with a 2.90 goals against and a .903 save percentage. And I'm convinced, and still I'm convinced, it's because of the way they use him. The Winnipeg Jets use him. Almost every year he plays over 60 games, and I think he's shot by the playoffs. I think they play him too much. See, but in the Four Nations and here in the Olympics, we haven't gotten to the end of the season yet. He hasn't played 60 games, hasn't even played 40 yet. And I think he's been fresher, and he could be the goaltender that he has shown us time and time again in the regular season. He's one of the few goaltenders that has won the Hart Trophy. One of the Buffalo Sabres, Dominic Hasek, is one of them that has done that. Carey Price did it too. But, in the playoffs, he just doesn't seem to have anything left. I'm thoroughly convinced that the Jets play him too much, and by the time the playoffs come around, he's shot.
Paul Hamilton, his appearance brought to you by Rail-X Honda. Rail-X, we got this. All right, Paul, to that point about usage and all that, What is the timeline for Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson to be back with the team in full go? Like Dahlin, of course, back, right? But Thompson is expected back when? And do you feel like we'll see everybody full lineup come Wednesday?
Well, it sounds like if Rasmus Dahlin didn't have any problems, he got in before the storm, the East Coast storm. Lindy Ruff said he was coming in yesterday and then practicing today. But Team USA was supposed to fly into New York City. They are diverting to Miami and flying into Miami. So, we asked Lindy, is Tage just going to stay down there and wait for you guys for when you get to, Fort Lauderdale and miss the New Jersey game? And he said, well, he goes, there's the East Coast has a problem, but he goes, we're hoping that he can get from Fort Lauderdale or from Miami to Buffalo, because neither one of those cities has a problem. So they're hoping to get him to Buffalo today, and then he can fly to New Jersey tomorrow with the team, because the Sabres shouldn't have any problem tomorrow because the winter storm is very, very bad. But I was watching the Weather Channel, and Stephanie Abrams, she was in New York and everything, and they were saying that the whole thing will be done by 6 o'clock tonight. It'll be gone. I mean, it won't even be up in Boston anymore. It'll be totally gone and over by then. So then it's just cleanup of, 12 to 15 inches of snow or whatever it's going to be. So the Sabres should be okay getting themselves to New Jersey on Tuesday. So that's, so Lindy was kind of up in the air. He goes, he's got to talk to Tage and see where he's at as far as playing in the game and that type of thing. But he felt that, they have a pretty good chance at least getting him to the team and getting him there, even though the Olympic team is going to fly in Miami instead.
Where are we at, Paul, in terms of some of the injured guys? Josh Norris, Luukkonen, Benson, maybe the latter less likely or not likely to play at all when they first get back here?
Yeah, Benson's not going to play in New Jersey. And it sounds like I don't want to be sounding like a doctor here, but some type of virus or something. It's not the upper body injury we're talking about. Lindy Ruff said it's a totally different issue. It's and I called it a mysterious ailment. Ruff said it has nothing to do with the upper body injury, and they're trying to get clarity on it.
This sounds like Zucker all over again.
Yeah,
to a point.
Through some testing. But he did say he's doing okay. He's been skating on his own. And the information they get today, they're hoping is going to be good, positive news. He said he had talked to Benson on the day off, and he's feeling good. He's just got another issue that they're dealing with that they're trying to get clarity on. So, but he said it wouldn't be fair to throw him in that New Jersey game with no practice and being off this much time. So he said if they get good news today, you're looking at possibly the Florida games.
Okay.
Getting him into that. But Lindy didn't want to he almost told us what it was, and he stopped himself. He goes, no, I'm not going to get into it. He goes, we'll just see what happens. And as I said, Dahlin, unless he got delayed or his flight was delayed or something, should have got to Buffalo yesterday and should be in practice today. Josh Norris, interesting line. He's been skating. He's been centering Doan and Ostland. So we'll see if that becomes a line, because you really can't really judge too much of the lines because, Tuck was playing like with Krebs and Malenstein or something, which isn't going to be a line. He's just got to wait until Thompson and Benson get back. And, so I didn't take too much out of the lines other than, maybe that would be a line. Norris, Doan, and Ostland. I could see that being a line for the Sabres.
Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline. Last thing, Paul, trade deadline is a week from Friday. We've got 5 Sabres games between now and the deadline, and I don't know if we're looking at potential targets or I don't know. Do we hear from the GM before or only after? Sometimes it can be different, or Lindy might start talking about it as well. I don't know that players are worried about it. The latest with Alex Tuch, I guess Tuch could be, on alert the next 10, 12 days. But it is 5 games for Jarmo Kekalainen to kind of take stock post-Olympics and decide what he's going to do with this whole thing?
Well, we haven't chatted with him yet because he's been with Team Finland at the Olympics. So he'll be back probably today. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to chat with him at some point fairly soon, as far as his thoughts for the trade deadline and everything. I asked Alex Tuck about it a couple of days ago, and he said he's not worried about it at all. He said, I'm not thinking about trade deadlines. I'm not nervous about anything. He goes, I'm here to win hockey games for the Buffalo Sabres. And he goes, that's all I'm worried about right now, and that's all I'm thinking about. And so it didn't. And I'm wondering if maybe Kekalainen has told Alex Tuck, you're not being traded.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think we all agree, that's the move. I mean, even if he's not going to re-sign, I think if they trade him before the trade deadline, you might as well give up on the playoffs, because I think the team will be upset about it, the fans will be upset about it, and I think he becomes your own rental, if he's not going to sign in Buffalo. And there's still, the trade deadline is not the deadline to sign him. I mean, you can still have movement within the negotiations because there's still negotiations going on. And it's not, well, he has to be signed by the trade deadline or you're not going to get him signed. No, that's not true. It's just you're maybe not going to get a trade for him if he doesn't sign, but there's still plenty of time to sign him before July 1st rolls around and get a deal done between the two sides, because it seems like the two sides would like to come to some sort of agreement. They can't get there yet, though.
Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline. Thanks, Paul. We'll chat this week and get back to some Sabres games.
Okay, sounds good.
Sabres and Devils on Wednesday from New Jersey, and then the Florida trip before coming home for Vegas.